welcome to another Cyphers Create video where we try to help you bridge some of the gaps between student theatre and professional theatre. I'm Holyhead, co-artistic director of Cyphers Theatre Company, and today we're going to be focusing on movement, and I'm going to be taking you through a simple stretching routine which can be used either as a warm-up or just a way to work on your flexibility, fluidity and strength when it comes to movement. So I'm going to be working on a mat, but if you don't have one, that's no bother. So to begin with, we're just going to put our arms in the air, come up onto our toes to just engage our core muscles and awaken it a bit. And then simply drop down to your heels, dropping over, placing your right hand on your left elbow, left hand on right, and then just rocking gently side to side with your head and shoulders and arms drop down to the floor, just to open up the muscles in the back a little. And with all of these stretches, you can do them for just a few seconds or a little longer, depending on how much time you've got. Okay, so now we're going to drop the hands and we're going to slowly walk our feet back into plank position. Again, stay there for as long or as little as you want. And then we're going to drop the knees and sit back onto our heels so that we are in child's pose. Now we're going to look to open up our rib cage a bit. So you're going to take your left arm and you're going to raise it to the sky and really breathing out into those ribs, opening it up. And then we're going to take that left hand and we're going to bring it underneath our right armpit and we're going to stretch it out the other way. And then we're going to come up again and a bit quicker back down and then back up and then back into child's pose. And then we're going to repeat that on the other side. I'll do it a bit quicker this time, but as I say, take as long as you need. So up with the right arm this time, then it would go under, long stretches, and then the sped up versions, there we go. And then back into child's pose. So now we're going to think about our pelvis, and we're just going to rock forward and backwards, keeping the core engaged and really pushing through that pelvis region all the way back and all the way forwards. And with all of these, the key thing is to listen to the body, okay? So some parts of the body some days will want more than others, and that's the thing, you know your own body. So that's how, if I were you, if I had all the time in the world, I would judge how much time I'd spend. So now, after these pelvis rocks, we're going to focus a bit more on the spine. So back down in this position, we're going to roll through with the spine. So the chin comes down to the chest. The head with the nose almost brushing the floor comes up with our spine arched down, and then we arch the spine back up, bringing the chin back into the chest, and we come through and repeat. And you can do a number of these, and you can start off relatively slowly and then increase the pace a little to make the movement nice and fluid. Okay, lovely. And then we can drop that into this cobra stretch, really extending through the spine, allowing the pelvis to drop to the floor, engaging those core muscles. Good, so now we're going to make sure our toes are tucked under like that, and in a moment we're going to push up so that our backside goes into the air, and we go into what would be known if we were doing yoga as downward dog, but you don't need to know yoga. So we're going to push up like that. Try and keep the back nice and flat, as much of a V as possible. Should feel the stretch through your calves. And then we can pedal the feet a little. Again, opening up those leg muscles, working on the ankles a bit. And then we're going to come up onto our tiptoes and walk in as close to the hands as is comfortable. and then drop the feet back down, and then swaying and rocking from the knees, opening up the knees, the upper legs, and again keeping the core engaged and working on that. And then brushing the fingers back along the floor, letting the shoulders drop back in, chin down. We're going to roll up so the head is the last thing to come up. Good. Now, coming to the other side, we're going to drop down into a relatively wide squat. And we're going to rock from side to side. Make sure you keep your chest up. And this is just to open up the legs, and it will also strengthen them a bit. So, for as long as you want, within reason, rocking from side to side. Then we're going to bring our feet, our hands rather down, and we're going to go into a side squat, placing, in this case, the right leg out, sitting as it were over the left heel. And now what we're going to do is we're going to go from each side to each side, taking that stretch both ways so it becomes nice and dynamic, and again helps us with our flexibility and our balance. So we come one way into the side squat and then back over in the other way, and then we rock from side to side. And if you need to put your hands down to spot yourself, that's fine. If you don't, even better, but progress not perfection. Good. And then we'll bring these feet in again, and we'll go back down into this midway squat. And now we're going to come up and down, and explosively-ish up and slowly down, and up and down. Good. And now we're going to drop forwards. You're going to take your hands and your arms, put your right hand over your left wrist, and with your shoulders and head dropped, you're just going to let your arms swing over the top of you and use that natural weight of gravity to feel the stretch through your shoulders. Again, listening to your body to know how long you need to spend on each particular area. Good, and then let those drop over. Shoulders back into the sockets if you're like me and they go all over the place. Chin nice and relaxed down to the chest, rolling up again. Good stuff. Okay, another really important area to focus on when we warm up are the neck and the wrists. So for the neck, quite simply, take your hand, put it on your head, let your head drop, in this case to the right, with your right hand on your right ear. And you're not pulling at all, but what you are doing is letting the gravity that's on this part of your arm just naturally stretch out that left side of your neck a little more than if you were just doing that. So it's not pulling it down, but it's adding that bit of weight, really. And then releasing that and letting it always come slowly and relaxed up. All this time keeping the core engaged, thinking about breathing, full stop, but breathing nice and coolly and calmly. And then we can do the same on the other side, exactly the same stretch. So this time it's the left hand on the right ear, just allowing gravity to lever the arm down. Feel that bit more of the stretch this time on the right side of the neck. And then again, release it and let it slowly come up. And for the front and the back of the neck, to stretch the back, simply drop your head forwards, chin right down onto your sternum, the top of your chest. And we don't need to put our hand on this time, but it's the same principle. The weight of your skull and of your brain is just naturally pulling on those neck muscles. And then finally, for the back of the neck, once we've slowly come back up, this time we're going to keep our mouth open so that we don't kind of rip our throat off. You wouldn't do that, but you might hurt yourself. And we'll just slowly drop back, keeping this lower jaw relaxed. So, shouldn't be able to speak properly, that's okay. And slowly back up. Good. So to repeat that verbally, it's keeping the lower jaw relaxed so that when the head drops back, you can just let it go, knowing that there's not going to be tension on the throat from pulling that too far with the head. Good. And as I say, the wrists are important too. That's the biggest cause of injury a lot of the time, especially when doing movement. You know, if you fall down, you're naturally going to put your hand out. If you've got nice warm wrists, less likely to sprain anything, etc. So quite simply with the wrists, it's just circles. Circle them one way, and then obviously the other way. Nothing that you need to do more than that. There's fancier things you can do, but this will do it just fine. And you can add fingers into that as well. Just stretch them out as wide as they can go, in as far as they can. Wide, far, wide, far. Wrists again. Just make sure that they're feeling nice and warm. That's why it's called warming up. You can give them a rub, but just make sure that they're ready for action. Okay, finally, we're going to go back down into our plank position again. And we're going to stretch the legs and the body a bit more. So we're going to take our left foot and bring it just inside our left hand. So a long kind of lunge, a bit like similar to how a sprinter would start a race. And just rock forwards and backwards into that. So we've got our left foot by our left hand. And now we're going to take our left hand up, high in the sky, opening out of that chest. And when we're going to come down, we're going to try and place our left elbow just inside our left foot, like that. So really stretching out the legs. And then you can come up again. And again, this is not a test of your flexibility. Push yourself, but don't hurt yourself. Everyone's body is different. I'm not the most flexible person in the world, as you can probably see. Good. And then we simply swap over. So the right foot to the right hand, rocking back and forth. Right hand comes up. Right elbow comes down inside the foot. And we come back up again. And then we go back into plank. And again, engaging that core, walking the toes in, and slowly rolling ourselves up. Whew. And there you go. So that's just a few simple things you can do in a vague combination. As I say, you can adjust that to your individual bodily needs and your individual time constraints. But those are just a few good formalised stretches that you can do to get warmed up and to walk, and that strength, stability and flexibility. Give it a go.